Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of Man Without Oil. I'm Tracy K from Titus Tools. It's June 6, 2020. Our topic today is me, Tarsand You Jane. We're going to talk about the Alberta Tarsands. And before we do anything else, let's get underway with the oil prices of the day with Tracy K. And of course, it's June 6, 2020. The West Texas Intermediate today, $52.22 Canadian per barrel today. The Western Canadian Select, $45.44 Canadian per barrel. Differential then, $6.78 Canadian per barrel. Prices are looking pretty good, folks. Of course, our factor today, 1.34. We're going to talk today now, folks, about the Alberta Tarsands. Me, Tarsand You Jane was kind of my slogan for today because, of course, everybody knows that a while ago, Jane Fonda went up to the Athabasca Tarsands and commented about how everything was not right and that it wasn't a good thing to do and what it was doing to the environment and that. But let's just talk about exactly what really is going on up there from an oil guy that's been around for 40 plus years. My experience has not been in the tar sands, but it has been very close to the tar sands. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about what the tar sands are because lots of people have different opinions of what it is, but I'll give you my take on it. The tar sands, of course, are named after, of course, the Athabasca tar sands. Some call them oil sands. It's the same thing. And back probably a couple hundred years ago, 1700, somewhere in there, a lot of people, I should say, that were traveling around in that area, maybe not so much a lot of people, but a few people were traveling around in that area and started to see some stuff coming out of the ground by the rivers, by the way, by the lakes, all of these different places up there. And what the natives ended up doing there years ago was they would take that tar sand and they would actually mix it with tree sap, and they were using it to seal their canoes that they would use in the lakes and the rivers. So just a discovery of this tar sand. It's been around for hundreds of years, and it is naturally occurring tar sands. It's not something that we're trying to wreck the environment up there. We're going to talk about that for a couple minutes here now. 54,000 square miles of muskegum forest is the Alberta tar sands. And 1.7 trillion, notice how I didn't stutter, trillion barrels of oil are actually throughout the tar sands. But here's the deal. Recoverable that we think so far with our technology is about 178 billion barrels of oil. So the main player up there, of course, is Suncor. But folks, here's the deal. We're not actually pumping this out of the ground. The Alberta tar sands is actually mined. 20% of that 178 billion barrels is actually mined. We're going to talk about SAGD, steam assisted gravity driven, which is some of the other stuff that they're doing out there to get this oil from the tar sands. You're looking at about 225 feet that this tar sands can actually go down into the ground. But they actually mine it with 400-ton heavy haulers. These tires are 3-4 times as tall as I am. It's just huge, giant equipment. And they use giant diggers to dig this sand that has oil saturated in it out of the ground. So what does our Alberta tar sands look like? Well, I got a bag of sugar here, folks. And if you look at this sugar, brown sugar, look at what it does. It's very thick. It's very full. It's got all kinds of thickness to it because it's full. The sand is full of oil. And so that's really when you look and say, what does Alberta tar sands look like? It's probably looking like a lot like a bag of brown sugar. So how do they get that stuff for sale? There's the bag of sugar. So what they do is they take it and they dig it out, of course. And they dig it out and they haul it in giant trucks, or they actually mix it with water and kind of slurify it and pump it to a giant boiling pot or a giant vat or container of water. Then all of that brown sugar or tar sands is actually stuck or dropped inside of it, not stuck, but dropped inside of it into this giant pot of boiling water. Well, what happens? That water heats up, that oil separates from that sand. The sand will actually fall to the bottom. Oil is actually lighter than water, so it will rise to the top. That oil is then skimmed off the top of that boiling pot, and the sand is at the bottom, the water is in between, and the oil is separated, and then it goes to other facilities where it's stored and, of course, sold. Now, here's the cool part about green energy, once again, with our good Canadian people and what we do for due diligence. That water that is used is recycled back around the pipe and back around and reused over and over again for recycling and boiled again to separate out this brown sugar or tar sands. Not only that, any place that that oil is mined out of, it is completely covered back over with sustainable soil, and we put some good old grass seed or some trees in that place. And folks, there's lots of times that you might not even know if that is even where they have mined that tar sands out of. So in saying all of that, we do really do some responsible on this green energy. The tar sands, brown sugar, however you want to look at it, it's just scooped out of the ground. It's boiled, it's separated, it's circulated back that water back again. It's covered over. They put some trees and some grass on there, and you've got your Alberta tar sands. 178 billion barrels up there that we're doing right now. Folks, I hope we can get some of that other trillion barrels that's out there, but we'll work on that as we continue to be innovative on what we can do to get heavy oil or oil out of the ground. That's my little spiel on the tar sands, folks. Hey, if you like what you see, why don't you just follow us on this here? Titus Tools Inc. That's where you'll see us. Folks, I am Tracy K. This is Man Without Oil. Hope you like this episode. We'll see you all again at our next Man Without Oil. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.